Now today the paint is dried up thoroughly from last night, and I wanted to show real quick, this will be a very short video, but there's a good little tip on here for somebody who's real serious about shooting motorcycle video, and this tip just couldn't have worked out better. I want to show this up close and personal. It'll only take a minute or two. Now I won't, it's embarrassing, I won't tell, I'll show later why I had to repaint parts of this mirror. It's an embarrassing thing. Where I parked this bike is the one up against the door, and every time I'd go to move it, it'd be, and I chewed it all up, and so I figured by the time I'm doing this, I may as well just repaint it, which of course with black, the nice thing is it always matches. And we'll buff this out in a couple of days. I'm not worried about the paint right now. Here's what I wanted to show. This was the critical thing. Now, we have mirrors that have directional signals in them. Can't really do this realistically, but on this bike it worked out perfect, and I want to explain why. So let me just share what I've learned from making several mounts for this bike. I've made several that have mounted by the dashboard. We pick up too much dashboard reflection. One of the things with this individual bike, I had mounted the mirror on that little clamp out here, and by the time I got it to where I wanted it, I had a lot of problems with it. No matter how tight you made it, it always had a little bit of play in it. And of course, some of the footage that I had already edited out, the footage was just vibration prone. Well, things that make it better, the closer, in other words, the longer you make the mount. If you put the mount up here, let me just put an example. I don't have a screwdriver here. Okay. If I take a screwdriver, if I mount the camera up here, this is going to be a diving board. As I make this shorter and shorter, it gets better and better. But it also changes the range. Now in our case, the range is, the engine vibration is on a twin, especially this bike's a twin, is probably 5,000 to 6,000, 7,000 to 8,000. It's in a range that the camera vibrates. What I found out is if I could make this really, really short, the shorter I could make it, the better the footage got. So I made a very special mount. I need to be able to move the camera in this direction and back and forth. And I need to do it with as few parts as possible, Holcomb's razor. I don't want to have a big stalky thing where this is bouncing around. And what I did from the parts that actually come with the camera, I was able to come up with something that I think worked real well. Now, the reason I know it worked well, I went out and shot some test footage before I painted this mirror, so that I wouldn't do the whole thing for nothing in case I had to move this hole out here, move it up here, change something, move something. I wanted to do it all before I did the actual finish of it. And now, once this is back on the bike, it'll be ready for a final buffing, polishing, or whatever, and we basically have the whole winter to do that. Here's the other significant thing. This thing has worked so well, and the mirror, and the buttons that I've put on a previous video of modifying the camera, the combination of the camera being modified and the mirror, the last time I went out to shoot footage, maybe 90% of it had no sun glare in it, had almost no vibration, and the sound was better than it's been in the past. So we're making a lot of little upgrades, and I'm going to go out to the garage right now, even though it's not really a day I'm going to ride. I want to put this all back together, get it ready for the next rideable day. So the final part on this, and what I did, it just took me time to figure out how to do this in as few pieces as possible. Originally, I was trying to do it with just the one piece, but that would only give me the adjustment high and low. I wanted to be able to turn this side to side as a way to fine-tune it also. So this was the whole trick to making this as vibration-free as possible. The squeeze clamp ones never really worked out. This one, when I put this on the bike, took a test ride, looked at the footage, I knew it was time to just commit, drill a hole, and I'd have that for what I hope is going to be some real good footage for the rest of this, well, the rest of this season. We got a couple of weeks left. Now, another thing I realized, that it's my personal thing, is I don't want to have anything on the side of the motorcycle. So you might be thinking, well, why not put it on this side where your throttle hand is? Well, what I found out, I tried mounting it here. Footage is basically the same. You can't really tell a difference. But what happens on this side, I have to take my hand off the throttle to turn it on, off, make sure it's on, look in that little mirror I made. It was kind of awkward. having it on this side of the bike, and I'm going to put the mirror back on here real soon. On this side, I can keep my steady hand going, and what I've been doing is I've been trying to turn the camera on and off without even losing the pace that I'm at with the motorcycle. So in effect, what I'm doing, I'm not recording a whole bunch of going down a straight road with you know, something that I don't want to see and I have to edit out anyway. I like to be able to just reach over, hit the button, record 20, 30 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever, and just hit the button and shut it off again. Now here's the whole thing in a nutshell that I've learned. If this mount is solid, and you can see I can move the motorcycle by it, the footage comes out, and I understand some people don't really care. I'm trying to do it as a hobby or as an adventure or whatever you want to call it. I want to try to make this as good as possible without spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on equipment, so I make a lot of this stuff myself. Now I also can basically fine-tune that. And that gives me all of the adjustment that I need. I'm as close as possible. And I used a button head bolt. Be aware, these are 1/4 threads, and most people that have a heavy hand, it's a brass insert. It would be very easy to pull that brass piece. It'll actually will pull out of the plastic. It's just, I'm sure it's molded in, but it's in there. It's not something you can't tighten. It's like you tighten a lug wrench on a car. So just tight that you can move the motorcycle by that. Now, I want to make a little demonstration and show why I think this is so much better. But of course, here's the problem. You have to make a commitment that that's where you want it. Or in this case, these mirrors are about 25 bucks a set. You buy a spare set, drill a hole, and you know, there's a lot of choices there. But here's the thing. The closer you can make that to the motorcycle and the shorter you can make it. To get those two moment arms as short as possible. In other words, the closer you can get the camera to the motorcycle, I think the less vibration tends to pick up. Now, some people I've seen mounted to the windshield. The windshield's kind of flimsy. All these body parts, they're all rubber mounted. Everything on these modern Japanese bikes is rubber mounted. So, and that's why one of the reasons they tend not to crack the fairing bolts. Old ones would crack around here. Everything is rubber mounted nice. It's nice for everything. The only solid part on this whole front of the bike is the mirror mounts. So we've tried to use that to our favor. Now I've tried to pass on the information and again, that I've learned, and I've made so many mounts, it's ridiculous. But the basic do's and don'ts of making a good camera mount. And in this case, here's one of the things that worked real nice. Because this tail, let me just get around here. This tail section is really nice and solid, and I had already refinished it. I don't think this would stick to the flat black paint, but it sticks to the buffed out paint. The rear mount on this bike is just perfect. Now, every bike is different. That's the problem. And what I've done with a lot of bikes, I've made these mounts a little bit longer and a little bit shorter, and then there's always a length where it doesn't tune the resonance of that motorcycle. In other words, I can take the camera mount on this, put it on the red bike, and it resonates. But on this bike, which runs at probably a couple thousand RPM lower, where you're normally taking your pictures, you get nothing. And on the GS, look how short it is on the GS. That footage has almost no vibration in it. So that was a real simple one. But the other ones, and this is one I'm experimenting with right now, that we'll get into this more. This one moves back and forth, so you can take pictures of the rider, you know, going around corners or whatever kind of antics you want to pull. And I want to be able to shoot forward when I'm in a group, and usually I'm the one at the back of the group, so I can shoot forward when we're going for these exotic rides that we go on. Now, and again, the thing I found out, and I'll mention it again, did not work. Mounting it to this, because this is rubber mounted. It's got a little rubber bushing in there. That rubber bushing did not work to my favor. When I made this one up, and it's just the other side of the bike. This one, I had made one a little bit longer, didn't work at all. Made it an inch shorter, worked perfectly. So These are the things that I'm learning and the things I'm trying to pass on. None of this is rocket science. None of this is something that, but it can be mystifying. And if you're, the point is, if you're not interested and you don't care about, you know, you just want to take some pictures so you can show your friends. Yeah, but I want to post stuff on YouTube that's fun to watch. And the reason is we're going to have a long winter coming up real soon. A couple of weeks. There'll be snow everywhere. It'll be cold. And I look back at these videos as I'm doing my work, and I got several shop projects planned for the very near upcoming time. We'll be doing shop projects in a couple of weeks. So this combination of being able to shoot with the little hood. Now I also have a person who has not responded. I won't put their name on the video because they're going to try to do me a favor and let me know if I can make a little, like you would have on an expensive camera, a tinted lens that'll get rid of some of the sun, the little rays that come down. But that's for a future video. Right now, that mount on this bike, and it's already been tested, I don't even have to go shoot footage, that has worked out so well. All the parts come with the camera. The parts that don't, if you want to modify your camera, there's a separate video on how to put this together. Super, super easy to do, probably an hour altogether. So one final funny thing here, and it's not really funny. Every time I would move this bike, and this bike fits into this slot, that's his parking spot, and what would happen, I would go past this and just miss it by 1/8 of an inch or smack it. And that's why that mirror got all chewed up over there. Well, how smart am I? I took a piece of one of the old seats for the R1, put it right where the mirror normally would scratch, put a couple of staples in it. Now what'll happen is I'll scratch this mirror on something. That's the way it works. Anyway, we're ready to put him back into the rotation. It's not a riding day today. But boy, when I think of the summer that we've had, and so far the fall we've had, we have gotten more riding done. I can't tell you what a great year this has been. I hope it's been a great year for you, and thanks for watching. Now, even though this video is over, I thought I'd show just some of the things that I have experimented with. And one of the things I learned is these screws don't really stay in the knob the way they should. I want to show you what I've used as a cure. I don't have one here. Here's one. I just put a drop of epoxy down in there because what happens on a ride when these loosen up, what a pain in the neck that is. You can't get the screw started. The screw just, what happens, the screw pushes back through. And the way to cure that, one drop of epoxy in there, and that's the end of that. I made this little guy up on various bikes at various times and places. This has had a good use, but I've had just as good result, and the camera's not exposed the way it is. So I've kind of abandoned this, but I made this from one of the little tripod things. And you can see if you look in here, some of the mounts I've made, and this one didn't work at all on the black bike, because basically I was getting so much glare off of that shiny, the dashboard. And I've made a ton of these out of this material. And I've got just a bunch of these. In fact, I got to return marks now that I have more inventory. But these are the ones that don't seem to work. And what happens, just to mention this is what happened whenever I've had these on. No matter how tight I make this, and I've made it so tight that I've broken these, I never can get it to stop doing that. It's just, there's always a little bit of vibration in it. So I've abandoned these altogether, at least for now, until something better comes along. And this is what I try to always avoid, is having a Rube Goldberg with a thing and a thing and a thing and a thing. Because by the time you put the camera on, the camera's up on top of a ladder. And every time you hit a bump, it looks twice as bad. And the roads we ride on are bumpy, of course. So what I've done here, too, is I've organized all my camera mount stuff. And here's all the extra little screws and spacers. Try to keep it all organized. And by the way, Mark, I didn't forget you. This is the Return to Mark bag. Another suggestion I have, if you buy one of these little cameras from, and I got these from Amazon, when I got them they were on sale. One was $14, one was $25, but the accessory pack was about $10. Last time I looked on Amazon, the accessory pack went up to $17. So, but you need to have this, and this is the only one I don't even shoot footage. I could take this off right now because on my helmet, I must have a rubber neck or something. I just can't keep my head still. And it always looks like I'm swimming. And in the beginning, I thought this is the only thing I'm going to need. I don't need it at all. In the end, and I guess it just depends on how fussy you are or what you're trying to accomplish. But I do enjoy sharing the videos on YouTube with my friends. And maybe some people that have become our friends through the YouTube videos. And again, I'll say thanks again for watching.